Let's now go to the constitutional provisions of taxation. Okay? So remember this, no? How do you describe the provisions in the Constitution with respect to taxation? Provisions in the Constitution with respect to taxation are not grant of powers. They are not grant of powers, but they are actually limitations on the power of the state to tax. Okay? Yan ay mga limitasyon lamang. Because without this constitutional limitation, the power of the state to tax is comprehensive, unlimited, plenary. And because of these limitations, then nagkakaroon ng restrictions doon sa power. Hindi nagiging unlimited. Hindi nagiging supreme. Okay? Ang kanilang power to tax because of these limitations. Again, provisions in the Constitution of pertaining to taxation are not grant of powers, but they are limitations on the power of the state to tax. Section 1 of Article 3 provides, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without a due process of law, nor shall any person be deprived or be denied of the equal protection of the laws. Dito, dalawa ang portion na binabanggit dito, ha? Dalawa ang right na binabanggit dito, the due process and the equal protection. Okay? Due process, okay? It can be a substantive due process or a procedural due process. When you say substantive, in essence, when you say due process, it simply means the right to be heard, no? Which is composed of the substantive due process and procedural due process. Pag sinabi nating substantive due process, the tax itself must be intrinsically valid. Okay? The Congress, in the enactment of the tax law, must act within the bounds and limits provided under the Constitution and relevant laws. Okay? When you say procedural due process, okay, eto na yung notice and hearing. A good example of this is in case of an assessment. When the BIR conducted an assessment, you must be informed of the nature of the assessment, the basis of the assessment, the factual and the legal basis of the assessment. And part of the procedural due process is your opportunity to be heard. And paano ka naririnig? Through filing of a reply, through filing of a protest. Okay? So sa procedural due process, the right to notice and hearing. Notice means the right to be informed of the nature of the assessment. Ano ba ang assessment mo sa akin? So provide me the legal and factual basis. Then the right to hearing, the right to be heard. Okay? May karapatan kang sumagot at magpresenta ng sarili mong ebidensya. Yan ang due process. When you say equal protection, kagaya ng binanggit ko sa inyo kanina, persons similarly situated will be treated alike, and persons differently situated will not be treated alike as to rights and obligation. So para magkaroon ng dapat yung mga persons similarly situated, pare-pareho ang mga tax liability nyo. Kung hindi naman kayo pare-pareho ng sitwasyon, hindi magkakaiba kayo ng tax liability. Okay? Now, para magkaroon ng different treatment sa mga taxpayers natin, there must be a classification of taxpayers. There must be a valid classification of taxpayers. And how will papaano tayo magkakaroon ng valid classification of taxpayers? You must comply with the following requirements. Number 1, the classification must rest on substantial distinction. Number 2, the distinction or classification must be germane to the purpose of the law. Number 3, it is not limited to existing conditions. And number 4, apply equally to all members of the same class. Okay. Again, para magkaroon ng valid different treatment. Doon sa mga taxpayers, dapat may valid classification ng taxpayers. Okay? And how can we have a valid classification of taxpayers? Number one, there must be a valid distinction. Number two, the distinction must be germane to the purpose of the law. Number three, okay, the conditions must not be limited to existing conditions. The distinction must not be limited to existing conditions. And number four, it must apply to all members of the same class. You will recall in the case of Chu versus Court of Appeals, ito yung may nag-challenge ng mga tax incentives ng mga corporations na nasa loob ng economic zone. Yung mga nasa loob ng special economic zone, sabi nila, bakit yung mga corporation na nasa loob ng economic zone ay ang daming tax perks, ang daming tax incentives, samantalang mga corporations na wala sa loob ng economic zone ay wala halos tax incentive. They are paying the regular tax. Ang sabi ng Supreme Court, because there is a valid classification of the corporations located in the economic zone and those located outside. Okay? Halimbawa, sabi ng Supreme Court, yung mga nasa loob ng economic zone, they are required to maintain a large amount of capital. Walang ganong requirement pag nasa labas ka. Yung mga corporations sa loob ng economic zone, they are employing thousands of employees. Okay? Walang ganoon sa mga nasa labas. Okay? Kaya nagkaroon ng valid distinction. And because there is a valid distinction, there is a valid classification of taxpayer, then they can be treated differently. Okay? They can be treated differently. Remember, to have a valid classifications, ano ulit yung ating mga requirements? Number one, the distinction must rest. The classification must rest on substantial distinction. It must be germane to the purpose of the law, must not be limited to existing conditions, and number four, must apply to all members of the same class. Next provision natin, this is a non-establishment of a religion. No? Ang state ay hindi po pwede magpasa ng batas establishing a religion. Okay? Kasi hindi mo naman lahat ng Pilipino ay masasabing dito kayo umanig sa relihiyong ito. Because when the law established a religion, then it has to appropriate funds for that religion. Eh hindi natin pwedeng gamitin yung funds natin not for public purpose. Okay? So hindi po pwede yan. Now, next is Article 3, Section 10. Ito yung tinutukoy natin kanina. Di ba naalala nyo yung distinction natin? That taxation is inferior. Okay? Taxation is inferior to the non-impairment of contracts. So yan ang nasa Article 3, Section 10. No law impairing the obligation of contracts shall be passed. Ano bang ibig sabihin yan? Okay? The non-impairment of an obligation of contracts. Pag sinabi kasi nating impairment of an obligation of contract, it means merong mga pagbabago or there are changes on the terms of a legal contract between the parties. Okay? Either terms like the performance or the mode or imposes new condition. Ang purpose natin dyan ng non-impairment clause sa Constitution is to safeguard the integrity of a contract. Di ba ang mga parties natin, ang mga parties, meron silang liberty of contract under Article 1306. Under Article 1306 of the tax code. Under Article 1306 of the new civil code. Ang sabi doon, the parties are free to agree on the terms, conditions, conventions in the contract provided they are not contrary to law, morals, good customs, public policy, and public order. Okay? And the agreement, the terms and conditions of the agreement is the force of law between the contracting parties which must be complied with in good faith. Kung ano yung agreement nyo, yan ang batas. Okay? Ng kontrata. Yan ang dapat sundin ng kontrata. Okay? Yan ang dapat sundin ng mga parties. Okay? The terms and conditions of the contract serve as the law. between the contracting parties and you must comply it within in good faith. Yan ang sinasabi diyan. Okay? Ngayon, nagkasundo na tayo. Nagkasundo na yung dalawang partido. O, eto ang kontrata natin. Diba? Nagkasundo na tayo. Ngayon, merong batas na ipinasa ang Kongreso. Na itong batas na to ay nag-i-impose ng bagong condition sa kontrata na pinasok natin dyan. Is that possible? Okay? Okay? Baka may mga naririnig kayo ng mga dogs sa background. No? Pagpasensya nyo na yung mga dogs dito sa background ko. Okay? So just listen to the dogs. For the dog lovers, no? May enjoy nyo tatahol ng aso. Kung hindi naman, edi ayan nyo na lang. Okay? Ito yung diba, one of the disadvantages no ng online no. Narinig natin yung mga aso sa paligid. Siguro may mga kaaway itong mga aso ito ngayon, no? So, hayaan niyo na lang sila. Okay? Ang mahalaga, kung may aso ka din diyan, hindi ko naman naririnig yung tahol ng aso diyan sa bahay mo or kung may pusa, okay? Now, balikan natin ito, no? Yung pinag-usapan natin kanina, merong kontrata na pinasok yung dalawang parties. May kontrata na pinasok yung mga partido at merong batas na ipinasa naman yung Kongreso na nag-i-impose ng banibagong condition dito sa kontratang pinasok natin. Okay? Will that be applicable? Hindi po pwede. Hindi po pwede magpasa ng batas that will impair the obligations of contracts. Okay? But take note, class. Take note, class. This rule will only apply that no law shall be passed impairing the obligation of contracts. Okay? When the obligation arises from contracts. Kapag ang source of obligation ay contract, hindi ka po pwede magpasa ng batas that will impair the obligation arising from contracts. Do not forget that contract is not the only source of obligation. Okay? Article 1157 of the New Civil Code says obligations arises from law, contracts, quasi-contracts, delict, and quasi-delict. Ang non-impairment ay mag-a-apply lamang sa obligations arising from contract. If the obligation arises from law, this non-impairment clause will not apply. Let's put an emphasis on that. Because this is an obligation of contracts. An obligation arising from contract. Kapag ang obligation arising, for example, sa law, then the Congress can enact a law that can impair on this obligation. For example, grant of franchise. Okay? And you have an obligation under that law that grants a franchise. Okay, one of the conditions before a grant of franchise is that the franchise can be modified, amended, or repealed, or canceled, or revoked by the Congress. Okay? Can you invoke non-impairment clause under the 1987 Constitution on that matter? Hindi po pwede. Why? Because your obligation arises from law, not from contract. The non-impairment clause applies only to obligations arising from contract. Kaya nga ang example ko sa inyo kanina, dalawang parties ang nagkasundo, dalawang parties ang pumasok sa kontrata. At ito ang napagkasundoan natin, itong obligasyon ko, ito ang obligasyon mo sa akin. Ngayon, may batas na ipinasa. Sabi sa batas na to, ito ang additional obligations ninyo. Hindi po pwede yon. That law cannot impair the obligations of a contract. Pero halimbawa, ang obligasyon mo arises from a law. Okay? Ang obligasyon mo arises from a law. Ang obligasyon mo is to pay income tax at 30%. Then there is a law now requiring you to pay 35%. Can you say, no, hindi po pwede yan. Law impairing the obligation yan. Kasi ang obligasyon ko, 30 lang eh. Bakit mo ngayon ginagawang 30%? Can you invoke non-impairment? No. Because your obligation arises from law. Okay? The non-impairment only applies to obligations arising from contracts. Let's be specific on that. No person shall be imprisoned for non-payment of debt or non-payment of poll tax. Itong poll tax, ito yung ating community tax. A good example of a community tax. Ito lamang ang tax na kapag hindi mo binayaran na hindi ka makukulong. Poll tax. Okay? Example is a community tax. Pag hindi ka nagbayad ng, pag hindi ka nag-secure ng cedula, okay? Hindi ka makukulong. Yan lamang. Kahit nga hindi ka magbayad ng community tax, eh, hindi ka makukulong dyan. Eh. Okay? Yung iba naman sa atin, nagsisecure lang ng cedula for some transaction purposes. Kaya lang, under the 2004 Notarial Practice Act, ang cedula ay hindi na competent evidence of identity, ha. Okay? Community tax certificate is no longer a competent evidence of identity. It has to be a government issued ID with picture. Okay? Where the identity of the person appearing before a notary public can be ascertained. Okay? Tinanggal na yung CTC as a competent evidence of identity. So ang tanong, saan mo pa pwedeng gamitin yung cedula mo? Parang wala na. Wala akong maisip. Kung saan mo pa pwedeng gamitin yung cedula mo. O kung gusto niyo magrevolusyon, kagaya ni Bonifacio, di punitin niyo yung cedula ninyo. Di ba? Okay, kaya lang, bawal ang gathering, so hindi pa rin yan magagawa. Okay? Article 6, Section 24. Basahin natin itong Article 6, Section 24. All appropriations, revenue, tariff, and bills authorizing increase of public debt, bills of local application, and private bills shall originate exclusively in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments. Ito, yung tatlong bills na dapat sa House of Representatives manggagaling or mag-uumpisa. Di ba nung nakaraang buwan, ito yung mainit na pinag-uusapan, yung prangkisa ng isang TV station. Di ba? Tingnan nyo, ang Senate walang nagawa. Dahil sa House dapat mag-originate yan. Well, because franchise is a private bill. Franchise kasi is a private bill. Okay? Itong appropriations bill, ito yung nagiging GAA. General Appropriations Act. Ito yung national budget. Itong revenue and tariff bills, ito ang tax laws. Nagiging tax laws. Bills authorizing increase of public debt. Bills of local application. Halimbawa, pagpapangalan ng mga kalye sa isang tao o kaya public holiday. Diba? Yan, mga bills of local application yan. All of them shall originate exclusively from the House of Representatives. But the Senate may propose or concur with amendments. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Okay? This provision is the subject matter of a case of Arturo Tolentino versus Secretary of Finance. In that case, challenge yung EVAT law. Okay? Yung EVAT law na sino bang principal sponsor nito? Si Ralph Recto sa Senate. May counterpart siya sa House of Representatives. Ang sabi kasi dito sa case na to, in the case of Arturo Tolentino versus Secretary of Finance, no? Merong version ng House of Representatives ng EVAT bill na ipasa sa House of Representatives. Ipinasa sa Senate. The Senate ay mayroong sariling version. Okay, may sariling version ng Senate. So they proposed amendments, they concur with amendments. Kaya lang, okay, dahil iba ang version ng Senate, iba ang version ng House, what will happen? To reconcile these two versions, nakakaroon ng bicameral conference. And in the bicameral conference, a third version of the bill may come out. So may House version, may Senate version, and may bicameral conference version. Na pwede rin namang iba sa version ng House, sa version ng Senate, provided yung purpose niya remains germane doon sa bill. Okay? Na pwede mong ipasa sa presidente for signature and then it will become a law. Challenge yung batas na to na naging law. Kasi ang sabi nila, the law that was signed by the President and later on become the expanded value-added tax law is actually the version of the Senate, or substantially the version of the Senate. That is not the version of the House. So ang sabi diyan, violate na ninyo yung Article 6, Section 24, that the revenue or tariff bill should originate exclusively from the House of Representatives. Dahil ang na-approve na bill or parang ang bill na naging batas ay version ng Senate, hindi yung version ng House. Okay? Sinustain ba sila ng Supreme Court? Ang sabi ng Supreme Court, hindi. Ang ibig sabihin ng Article 6, Section 24 is that ang mga bills na to, appropriation, revenue, tariff, bills increasing public debts, bills of local application and private bills, okay, ang initiative should come from the House of Representatives. Diyan dapat mag-uumpisa ang initiative ng pagpapasa ng batas na ito. Ibig sabihin, ang initiative ay hindi pwede mag-umpisa sa Senate. Ang Senate hindi pwede mag-start on their own. Maaaring may Senate version, pero hindi uusad yan at hindi magiging batas hanggat hindi nag-i-initiate ang House of Representatives. Kaya usually, may version ng House, may version ng Senate. Paano kung halimbawa, may tax bill ang Senate, walang tax bill ang House? Pwede bang maging tax law itong bill na to ng Senate kung aprubahan nila at ipasa nila sa Presidente? Hindi po pwede. Dahil hindi po pwedeng sa kanila manggaling yung initiative. Hindi nila po pwedeng ipasa ang bill na to at ipasa sa Presidente for signature. Ano ang kailangan nilang gawin? Hintayin nila kung may bill na ipapasa ang House of Representatives. Kung mayroong bill na ipapasa ang House of Representatives at ipinasa sa kanila, that is the time na pwede silang mag-propose ng amendment or pwede silang mag-concur ng amendment. Pero hanggat walang ipinapasang bill ang House of Representatives, walang magagawa ang Senate kundi maghintay lamang. Kaya nga yung mga important bills natin, lagi yung mayroong nag-i-sponsor sa baba, may nag-i-sponsor sa Senate. Okay? Parang yung alimbawa, good example, yung prangkisa ulit ng Channel 2. Di ba may nag-file sa Senate? May mangyayari ba niyan? Kung final mo sa Senate, wala. Kung walang magfa-file sa House. Nakatenga lang yan. Okay? Kaya dapat ang mag-take ng initiative, House of Representatives. At pag sila nag-take ng initiative, nagsimula na ang makinarya, okay, ng Legislative Department. Pag naipasa ninyo at naipasa mo sa Senate, kami na ngayon, nasa amin na ang bola. Kami na ang bahala dito ngayon. Inumpisahan mo, kami na ang tatapos. We can propose, concur with amendments as long as the proposals and concurrence for amendments are germane to the purpose of the law. At pwede namin yung ipasa sa Presidente. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng Article 6, Section 24. Ang operative phrase there is that the initiative should come from the House of Representatives. Sila dapat mauna. Okay? Kaya pag nagtanong nito sa bar, yun ang tatandaan mo. Yun ang iyong originate from or should come from the House of Representatives. Hanggat walang initiative, hanggat walang initiation sa House of Representatives, the Senate cannot do anything except to wait kung ano ang ipapasa ng House para sa 6 na bills na ito. Para sa 6 na bills na yan. Okay? Now, you read the case of Arturo Tolentino versus Secretary of Finance. That's the gist of the case. Now,